If you are having credit related issue, it means that you fall into high-risk category, and there are several steps that you need to take in order to overcome that credit-related issue. There are options that are on your table if you are overburdened with debt. In this video, I want to tell you the options. There are three options that exist, and just give you a brief description of what they do and the differences. This video, we want to look into what is the difference between credit counseling service, credit repair service, and debt consolidation service. Welcome back to Credit Nerdy, brought to you by Tyrant Financial. Welcome back to Credit Nerdy. So there is three different services that is necessary when you find yourself in credit-related issue. Uh, Credit-related issue falls into different categories. You can have credit-related issue where you're overburdened with debt, and being overburdened with debt, you might not have bad credit on time, but in paying that bill on time, you find yourself still struggling because the amount of debt that you have acquired. If you find yourself in that area, there are two ways you can adjust the issue. One is much better than the other, and one has a different business, predominantly different business point than the other. You have what is called credit counseling services. Credit counseling services usually work closely with banks and with creditors in order to get you some form of relief where the debt is concerned. And you have debt consolidation services that does the same thing in terms of working with the banks, but their approach is different. And for the most part, the banks are more friendly towards one than they are to the other. And let me walk you through what are the difference between credit counseling service, debt consolidation, and credit repair. We begin with credit counseling service. A credit counseling service is a service that steps in to help the consumer. A lot of times, they are sometimes recommended even by the creditor if you try to work out a payment arrangement, or if you find yourself in the trouble with a product that creditor offers. Sometimes they partner or have affiliation with credit counseling services that they recommend you to, and the credit counseling service work out a deal or some form of arrangement with them on your behalf. But credit counseling services are basically, they fall into two categories: for-profit and non-profit. But the vast majority of credit counseling services are the ones that the banks are more friendlier towards, are the ones that are non-profits. The non-profits want the banks help sometimes to fund them, and different entities help to fund them while they do the service. There's a fee that is paid to them for the services that you actually get. But what the credit counseling service usually does is that they would come in and provide for you credit counseling information, so that's teaching you how to do budgeting, teaching you how to actually organize your finances and devise up a strategy or a long-term plan, perhaps sometime a year, 2 years, 3 years, how you're going to basically get your financial health back in order and get the debt that you actually have paid off and paid down. But what the credit counseling services usually do, they act as a middleman between you and the creditors, and they would negotiate on your behalf with the creditors. They don't usually negotiate down what you owe, but what they usually negotiate is the restructuring of how you're going to pay it, and also a lot of times they would get reduction into the interest rate of what you pay. They don't usually, for the most part, ask for the debt to basically be reduced and things like that. And then from time to time, as you work with them, they will provide for you educational, financial educational resources and classes and meetings, one-on-one meetings, sometimes group meetings, to help you understand your financial situation much better and to get out. So that's what a credit counseling services usually do, and they're predominantly, they're not all of them, predominantly not for profit. IRS recognize them. States are more friendlier towards them than they are towards credit repair companies and debt consolidation companies, and the language and the aura that is around them is much more positive than it is towards the other two entities. They usually charge a fee for their service that you have to pay for them to help you. Some might don't necessarily charge a fee, but for the most part, they charge a small fee for them to help you. So that's what a credit counseling service does. A debt consolidation service, it comes in when you have debt, and to work with a credit counseling service, you don't necessarily have to have like bad debt or crazy debt. You just need to be in a situation where you need help and education, and they will come in and they basically, especially when it comes on to helping you work on a budget and to really understand the severity of the debt and how to get out of it. Now, the debt consolidation company, which is our next in line, they usually come in. For the most part, most debt consolidation companies are for profit. Their approach is to come in and to help you get rid of the debt. What usually happens though, they would try to go to your creditors and work out a deal with your creditors to get some form of reduction in how much you owe and restructure the payment arrangement. Sometimes your creditors will be willing to work with them. Sometimes your creditors there's one. Most debt consolidation companies are for-profit businesses, and some of them do a good job. Some of them basically is terrible. So when you do a debt consolidation, you gotta make sure that you understand the company that you're working with, and make sure that you understand how any agreement that they have reached with your creditors, how the agreement is structured. Because one of the issues that sometimes arises with debt consolidation companies, you are paying them your money, and for the most part, most of the money sometimes is not going towards the debt. And sometimes, if you're not on top of it and make sure that you set up the arrangement the right way and pay in the escrow account that sometimes they usually create for you to basically pay them and they pay the creditors on your behalf. They usually, for most of them, they would arrange it where you pay them a one-time monthly fee based upon all the debts that you have that they're going to be engaging the creditors for you, and then they pay the creditors on your behalf. But what end up happening sometimes, the contracts and the time that you need to make payment takes time. And if you're not paying attention, you will have late payments and missed payments and get your situation worse. So make sure when you're working with a debt consolidation company, you understand the terms and make sure that there's an arrangement that exists between your creditor and them, and you have a clear understanding of what that arrangement looks like. Because a lot of times where individuals go into debt consolidation company and they end up in a worse situation than they basically were in prior to forming their arrangement with the debt consolidation company. There are also debt consolidation companies that basically gives you loans to pay off the debt that you have. They consolidate the debt, work out a plan with you, look at how much your payment worth, try and negotiate with their lenders, and then you give them a one-time payment for the month, and that disperses towards all your debts. And then the loan pays off the debt and you pay them back in that way. And then there's other ways where you pay them one time payment and they pay the creditor. So there are different approaches to the debt consolidation process, and they more likely try to work out reductions in your debt, which is a different approach from what the debt credit counseling services does to basically get those debts off. So that is a brief general overview between how a debt consolidation service work and credit counseling. Now we look at credit repair, which is where us at Ironic Financial comes in. This is the area that we work with. So credit repair company does several different things, and they basically mingle in different areas than just the credit repair. But traditionally speaking, the credit repair company becomes necessary when your credit is damaged. Upon your credit being damaged, you have negative accounts reported on your credit, late payments, bankruptcies, tax liens, even though tax liens in this time is not so much showing up on your credit anymore in the traditional sense. But be careful of third party collectors who take over these and try to enforce it and put it on your credit report. Tax liens, bankruptcy, audit inquiries, you have excessive audit inquiries, and so on and so forth. That's where a credit repair company comes in to help you clean up that information. And what a good credit repair company will do, they will also help you to and teach you how to structure your credit report and to make sure that your credit profile looks proper and looks the way that is more friendlier to the eyes of banks and lenders. Some credit repair companies basically add other stuff to their services. Like for example, us, if you have debt collectors dealing with, we basically help you to understand your rights and how to basically interact with those debt collectors without the debt collectors abusing you. And if you are going further, sometimes the credit repair company, as I said, not everyone does this, goes beyond that, sometimes even reach out to your creditors and try to work out stuff with your creditors on your behalf. So credit repair focuses more so on the building of your credit score and the correction of errors or bad information in your credit report. So that is basically where a credit repair company comes in. So if you don't have negative information on your credit report, you might not need a credit repair company, even though we go beyond that because we also show the ones that are more comprehensive in their approach, show you how to build out your credit profile the right way, and then also help you to understand different credit products as well as dealing with different credit related issues that has to do with your credit report. But one of the things that usually comes around once you start to work with a credit repair company, sometimes the customer wants you to go beyond just the credit repair process because you become their trusted guide in helping them in all things that has to do credit, sometimes even things that are legal that they need other help. So that's the difference between the three services. And let me just recap for you so you can understand the difference, as we have covered quite some information here, even though it's brief and more general. So a credit counseling service usually helps you to get a reduction on your interest rate with your loans when you have find yourself into a credit crunch as it relates to debt and so on and so forth. And they would basically negotiate on your behalf with your creditors in order to get structured a payment arrangement. They don't usually, in the traditional sense, negotiate reductions in what you owe. They usually try to just work with the interest rate and set up a plan for you to pay off the debt. Sometimes these companies are recommended to you by the lenders because for the most part, the vast majority of them, not all, are non-profits, but they're for-profit ones as well. And they usually get certified within, there's two major credit counseling bodies that does a certification where you have to do exam. And they usually focus on education that surrounds credit. And they sometimes have classes and groups or one-on-one to really help you to understand and get your credit under control and your debt under control. Budgeting and all of that they usually covered in. Debt consolidation is the next service that exists. Debt consolidation, for the most part, are usually for-profit entities. They would come in and try to work out you paying off your debt. They usually would negotiate as opposed to a credit repair counsel to try and get the debt that you owe reduced, and then you set up a payment arrangement. Some of these companies are better than others. Some of them sometimes will give you a loan and you basically pay back the loan and then use the loan to pay off the debt. and the loan becomes a one-time monthly payment, and it covers the debt that you have. And as I said, be cautious where you work with these, because sometimes I see individuals, my clients, trying to come into me, getting involved with debt consolidation, and it make their credit situation worse than it was because the debt consolidation company didn't explain fully to them all that they needed to understand to protect their credit while they're doing this, and they end up all of a sudden start to get a whole lot of late payments being reported on the credit. Matter of fact, some debt consolidation company would even advise you. Some of them do this, and this is not good. Advise you to miss several payments so that your situation look dire, and then they go in and negotiate with the companies. But by then, that sort of thing wrecks your credit and put you in a situation where you have that bad credit to deal with, even though you're working on something to get out of debt, and put you in a worse situation. When your credit is damaged, that's where a credit repair company comes in, which is a third kind of service that comes in. Credit repair basically works to fix your credit report and your consumer reports, because you have more than just a credit report, you have consumer report. Credit repair companies comes in, usually dispute items on your credit report and try to get them off so your credit profile becomes much more friendlier, and put you in a better situation and show you how to actually good ones go beyond that. They show you how to structure your credit profile, and show you how to build out your credit score and also protect and maintain it. Some credit repair companies go beyond that. They help you to get credit builder products and credit education, just the same as how the others provide education. So these are the three companies, three services. Once you're in the credit arena and you need credit information, this is where you would go to get the help that you need once you're in a bad credit situation. You fall under one out of these three situations. And as I said, you have not-for-profit in all of these three categories, and they are much more cheaper to work with than even in a credit repair. You gotta be cautious with who you work with, because not everyone is just honest as they should be, and it's because of that the credit repair companies have a bad aura that goes over it. But don't let the banks or even sometimes the government tell you that you need to avoid credit repair company. What I know as a credit repair specialist, the average consumer does not know that. And it takes me years to understand and know this, to understand consumer law, to understand the laws that govern you. And I am still constantly, every day, literally educating myself, because there's so much development and changes. So you, the regular consumer, not going to be in a position to understand all the nuances that comes with that. So those who try to tell you don't need credit repair professionals, it's nonsense. You, the average consumer, is not going to know all that you should know for the most part, because it takes time, it takes a lot, it takes information, understanding how to do research, how to find the information that you would need to put yourself in the best position, especially when you are being violated. And the banks and all of them basically hope that you don't know so that they can take advantage of debt collectors. And it's credit repair professionals who understand and know this and can help you. All right. So I hope that this video was helpful, and I hope that you learned something. These are the three services once you find yourself in a crunch with credit, especially if you start to acquire derogatory information on your credit report. Peace.